She built a fashion company by taking the money out of fashion. Then she started charging a membership for it. And this episode is about that contradiction and why 769 women decided it wasn't one. I want to give you a warm welcome to AI Power Women. This is a show about women who found leverage, the kind that lets one founder do what it usually takes a team, a warehouse, or a whole war chest. My first guest built a movement out of a Facebook post and bad Montana Windsor, and she's now turning it into a national franchise. Emily, welcome.
Hello.
Hello, wonderful to have you here.
I am so excited for this.
What time is it over there? So I'm in the UK. You're in where?
Right now I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, and so it is about 11 a.m.
Okay. And so how's your morning been so far?
I have been just giddy, waiting to come and talk to you. Schoolgirl giddy energy is what I'm bringing to the table today.
I love that. And I've been just as excited from when we had our conversation and decided, we're going to do this. I couldn't wait to have you as my first guest on the show. So, yeah. So I've done a little intro to you, but I would love you to do your own introduction to yourself as well, and just tell us a little bit more about you, about yourself, where you're based, etc. I know you're in Phoenix, but that's not your home, so just tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, it's not my home, but it could be soon. I'm Emily Petroff, and I am the founder and CEO of Switch Society, and we are a membership-based circular wardrobe. It's a concept that I founded, created, just kept saying yes to all the things, and it kind of, I tell people all the time, it makes sense, and when people hear about it, they're like, of course, that's so cool. But prior to doing this, there wasn't anything like it. And I think it's just it's been a really lovely journey. And now, yes, we went through the franchise process and we're expanding in other places. And so I'm so excited to be able to talk to you just about, all of the things that have transpired for us in the last couple of years and kind of the trajectory that we're on moving forward. But I'm based out of Billings, Montana in the US. And what else do you want to, where else should we go? Because I can be long-winded and I want to make sure this tonight.
No, completely fine. I want us to just keep it real. So where I'd love us to start the conversation. So, I love everything you shared, and I want to dig into all of those different aspects. But let's kind of go right back to the beginning. And I don't mean to the polished beginning. I mean when you were take me back to Hilton Hotel. It's 30 below weather. You throw this event.
Yeah.
And only 20 women show up.
Yeah.
What happened? How did you feel at that moment?
So I actually want to go back even just a little bit further than that, because I don't have experience in, people always say oh, so you have a retail background when they learn about what it is that I'm doing. I'm like,
right.
Hell no, I don't have any experience in this space at all, right? I just am one of the women, right? 80% of the American closet hasn't been worn in the last year. And I fit into that category, right? I just had too many things in my closet. And yes, you're absolutely right. I hate winter. I love wine and getting together with women and like-minded kind of, energy. I'm a community builder. And so I thought, instead of really complaining about the winter and being a man, put something together that allows you to have something to look forward to. And so when I started to kind of think about what this was going to look like, I started to research how clothing exchanges and clothing swaps were being done worldwide. What were people doing, and what did that, how did that work, and what were they doing that was successful?
Yeah.
And one of the things that came up was for me, I'm a plus size woman, and not every one of my friends is my same body shape and size. And one of the things that I had heard or read or seen was that these women were getting together with their friends. And so I thought, gosh, I'm not going to be able to just get together with my friends because it's not going to work if we do it like that, right? And so right away, I knew that there was some things that were going to be different about what I was doing. And so I opened it up to a public space rather than just keeping it within my girlfriends. And so I put an event on Facebook, and within about 10 days of putting the event up, there was so much interest that I was like, I'm never going to be able to host this at my house if even a small portion of these women show up. So we ended up renting meeting space at the Hilton. And then, yes, it was the weekend that it was 30 below zero. But we still had about 20 women participate, and we collected over 817 items that first weekend, which was really, really fascinating to me. And from the time that I put the event up, I had created a Facebook group for the people that were going to participate, just that they would know, how it was going to work, what were we going to do, that kind of thing. And people just kept adding more people to that group and adding people to the group and adding people to the group. And then after a lot of things happened that first weekend that really set the stage for what we do now and a big part of how our model works. But when the event was over and I had started to research thrifting models, my background is in business coaching, and I had started to look at, the ways that the consignment it works, like what works for the consumer, what doesn't work. I didn't know what I didn't know about textile waste and how bad it is for the planet, all the things that were happening with fast fashion. Like I didn't have that. I was just like everybody else, right? Like I didn't have that experience or exposure to a lot of those things. And so I'm very loud, and I love to be able to use my voice in ways to educate people. And so I just started sharing the things that I was learning with these women, so that at least if you were going to continue to make the same decision that you were making in your shopping habits and the way that you were going about it, you were making it from an informed and conscious place rather than an unconscious and uninformed place. And so after that first event, then the women who didn't come because it was so damn cold said, okay, so when are you doing this again? And I was like, I wasn't planning on doing this. So, so then it was just this process of saying yes to things and really looking at, I really had a vision for what this could look like based on some of the things that happened that first weekend. So it was really a amazing experience. And now that Facebook group that I started has like 3,300 women in it now. So
amazing. So grown exponentially since that.
Yes, that's 20. So you had 20 women show up then. That's like, and you said 870, so almost like 40 a piece almost of clothing that they were sharing amongst them. And you said that you educated them. So like dig into that with me a little bit. You did all this research about fast fashion and what it's doing to the environment. Can you unpack that a little bit for people who, might not know about that?
Yeah, it takes about 714 gallons of water to make one cotton t-shirt.
Are you kidding me?
We are making 2 billion pairs of jeans every single year. Like,
Wow.
Like a garbage truck of clothing is dumped or burned every second. Like it's monumental, right? Like some of the largest textile waste dumps, like one is in Chile, they can be seen from the satellite is how large they are, right? And it's things that are brand new with tags. These are not items that are beyond their life, right? Like there's enough clothing on our planet right now to clothe the next 6 generations of human. If we stopped producing right now, right? And that's probably even an old statistic because they're still, right, we're pricing every single, like it's
crazy.
It's so massive, like it's almost hard to even like people like realize like it's a massive amount of waste, and a lot of the things, especially from America, most of my education and the awareness that I have is from what we're doing over here in the States. We're a very consumable society, and I don't know how that translates to the rest of the world in a lot of ways, but what's happening is that a lot of these items that we're discarding, they're either throwing, the average American throws away about 81 pounds of clothing every single year. Lots of those items could be reused, or even if there's like a rip, stain, tear or something, they could be repaired and still be used for other things. And then those items are often, if they're going into a landfill, right, they're doing all kinds of damage there. But a lot of the items that are being taken to large donation centers are then being shipped to third world countries. And in these third world countries, there's no regulation on their landfills. So been like technically closed since like maybe even 20 years ago, 25 years ago. And no one is stopping the dumping that's happening there. And so there's fires being created, right? There's the things from all of the synthetics and the polyesters are seeping into the groundwater. Like it's a really bad issue, right? Like there's just a lot of things. And it's like the thing that I hate about it so much, like I was telling somebody the other day, it feels like to me when we are taking our things and we're dumping them off at a donation center and we're not like checking what are they doing with these items, where are they going, what is and it's sort of like if I'm driving in my car and I just have my trash and I just roll down the window and I throw it out and I'm just like, wait, now it's not my problem anymore. Like, guys, I do that.
Right.
So I just think our mentality around a lot of that has to shift and change. And Switch doesn't solve all these problems, but we're certainly trying to be a part of the solution rather than a part of the problem, right?
Perfect. So take me through, what is the gap that you've actually seen? So you clearly with Switch Society is that you've seen a gap somewhere. So you've done this research, you've experienced it firsthand with the women, with the SWATs. What is from here to here? What is the gap? What's that middle ground that Switch is covering that just isn't available right now?
Yeah, so there's a lot actually. In regard to the sustainability side of things, there's so much that is happening in the thrift space right now. Like, I don't know if you've seen this or not, but thrifting has become very trendy, right? Like, it's like super cool to go and thrift, which I love. I grew up in an environment. My mom, we went to garage sales and we went to, thrift stores, and it was fun to like find to go through that discovery phase and try to find something that you really, really like, right?
Right.
But it's also, as a result of the trend, it's become really expensive too. Items that you normally wouldn't have paid a whole lot for secondhand are now like the prices are skyrocketing. And so it's really impacting a lot of folks, right? Folks that really rely on thrifting, not as a fun way of, like secondary, like, let me add this to my wardrobe and fun. Folks that really need that as a means of caring for and supporting their family, right? They need that.
They're on the economic scale, and the only way they can,
it's impacting them in a negative way. And then what that creates, or what that has created, is an opportunity for fast fashion brands to come in and be producing items that are almost less than a cup of coffee, right? Like you can almost buy a shirt or a pair of or an item of clothing for less than what it costs you to buy a cup of coffee. And
true.
Although that seems like a good solution for some of these folks, what's happening is that we're overproducing, back to this whole problem, right? And now we're in this consumption pattern, and those items are maybe you're only getting 2 or 3 wears out of them because the construction is so poor.
Right.
The quality is so bad that they don't last.
Yeah.
Well, in where you would have went and purchased something for a little bit more, the cost per wear is so much greater than when you buy something, through one of these fast fashion companies. So it's really creating this yucky cycle. And and so what Switch allows us to do is to meet women exactly where they are, right?
Yeah.
Exactly where they are with their budget, exactly where they are with their body, exactly where they are in their lifestyle. Like no matter what the transition is that they've had, and we as women go through a lot of
The different one, right?
and we don't, I think, even realize, like, to the level that I now know, just from doing this in the last couple of years, how our clothing supports us in that. And it can be really supportive and really fun and amazing, or it can be a really, really difficult conversation that happens in your head that you are maybe only sharing with your closest girlfriends, or maybe not even at all. So it really is, there's a sustainability gap, right? That's happening. We're supporting keeping the items in circulation for a longer period of time, and then repairing or deconstructing and upcycling pieces that are truly ready to be deconstructed. There is the social aspect of things, right? I think since COVID, a lot of our sales, a lot of our shopping habits went online because of that. And now, right, we don't have that community in a lot of places, and I think we're really hungry for building community and being able to have a place to go and physically touch, something.
Yeah.
And don't even get me started on the online shopping piece of things. Like how many times the sizing isn't correct, or it just doesn't fit your body the way that you thought it was going to. And then now we have this piece that we have had Hearn, and it's like, I mean, it's a whole thing, right?
It's a whole process to turn it.
So you end up keeping it and it ends up getting thrown away.
Or the back of the wardrobe, right?
Yeah. So, it supports that. And then it also is this really, and this is the part that I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know any of this, but this part is sort of this hidden gem that happens in when we remove the barrier of money. The way that women participate with clothing is very different than even if we have to think about a small $5 or $10 purchase, right? Like, I now get to dress the body that I currently have instead of my goal, like what do they call them? Uh, oh, I can't think of the word this one gal uses in my store. And I'm like, no, we're not doing that anymore. Where you keep them because you're going to lose that 10 pounds or that 15.
It gets her go weight.
Yeah. Yes, right. The aspirational piece there that or then the fat clothes, right? Like I'm keeping these because if I gain an extra 15, or whatever, right? Like now I have this. So it allows you to really dress the body that you have. And then the other thing that's so beautiful about it is that there's this, for a lot of women, we think we can only do, and this isn't a conscious thing that runs. It's often for a lot of women, it's unconscious. Our mom or our grandma or our teacher or whoever the women or people in our lives were that influenced how we should show up.
Yeah.
Often that's a program that's running in the background a lot, right? And this gives them an opportunity to like set that down. Like, is that really serving you? And is that because how many times have you said or have you heard other women say like, oh my gosh, that's so cute on you, I could never pull that off, or I could never, right, do that. And that's such a limiting belief that we have, and it doesn't come, like, most women didn't choose that limiting belief for themselves. They heard it from somewhere else, right? Whether it was from the culture, right, the media, or from someone in their own experience growing up, and Switch gives them permission to set that down.
Yeah.
Yes, you absolutely can wear that damn thing. And so my rule is always, right, with no guilt and no risk, if you see something you like, the question you should ask yourself is, would I wear this one time? And if the answer is yes, you absolutely can wear her, and then you can swap her back when you're done. So it fills this gap where we are consumable. I'm guilty of that too. Like, I love having something new, right? Retail therapy is not like a word for no reason at all, right? Like, it makes us feel better to have something new. So it gives them that dopamine hit without the negative consequences financially, emotionally, psychologically, environmentally, right? So there's a lot of different aspects that this model serves people that I didn't know was going to happen. It kind of has just evolved.
It's evolved to this, right?
Yeah.
So give me a working example. So a girlfriend has told me, you need to check out, you need to check out Switch. You need to come along. One, where am I going to go? And what am I going to experience when I get there? Like, I don't know anything other than my girlfriend's really excited about it. And she's wearing a fabulous new outfit. She told me she got it from Switch. Yeah, and didn't it go on what happened?
So currently it's a hyper local solution in the community that it's in. So it is a brick and mortar option, right? There has to be one in the community that you're in. So right now, unfortunately, that is not a possibility for a lot of women, but that's the goal, right? Like that's the big hairy audacious goal. That my vision was that there should be a Switch society in every community that is large, that has a large donation center, so that there's a more sustainable option, right? So that there are better choices for us to make. But let's just say, right, that you are, or you happen to be in a city where there is one of the stores. There's a couple of ways you can go in, and you can do a guest pass. So you can just try it out, kind of like a sample, right? You get a couple, you get like 20 points, and then you can just shop, right? And you just find the things that you maybe never thought of me.
I don't need any money.
No.
I just bring myself. It's a membership though, right? So I would have signed up to be a member.
So you can come in and do a guest pass for no obligation, right? We want people to really come in and go through the discovery phase, right? And it's really hard for a lot of women. Like they're like, this feels weird to not pay for something. But literally, when there's so many items of clothing, I did a TED talk, and one of the things that I talked about is like, we're literally throwing these things away like it's like they're single-use items, right? Like plastic forks and spoons. If that is the case, why can't we all just share? So we really there's so much surplus, right? That we really can be in a position to run the model similar to a lot of other places, in that you want to test it out. You want to come in and you want to try it. You want to see what it's like. So you can come in without having a membership. You can come in one time. You can get a little guest pass. You can come and see, the things that we have. The thing that I always remind people of, though, is that, each location will have anywhere from, like our sweet spot is like 600 to 800 members. Sometimes there might be, 1,500 members, something like that. When you have that many women participating in a circular model like this, we're doing inventory every single day. So we're putting things out in almost every single category, in almost every single size, almost every single day of the week, because we just have that much. We're taking in 10,000 items a month. So, the amount of circulation that's happening, and on an average to busy-ish day, about 300 items are leaving our store. So we do a lot of circulation. And so even if you don't find something that day, the chances of finding something are pretty high, because there's just a massive amount of things that are coming in from the women that are participating in the circulation. So yes, that's one way that you can come in. The other way is, yes, you can sign up for a membership. You can do it on our website, or you can do it in store. And then you come in, you can either bring your things that you are ready to swap out, or you can come in and your first shopping experience is always on us as our gift to you, and our way of saying thank you for your support and welcome to the community. Because one of the things that's frustrating, I think, for a lot of women about like the consignment space is you bring your things in and then they go through it with a fine tooth comb, and these pieces get rejected, and that feels yucky. And then these pieces you have to now wait to get credit on your account in order to use, and then you're spending more money, and blah, 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 blah. It's just this yucky cycle, right? Yeah. So with us, your first shopping experience is on us. So whether you bring things or whether you don't on your first visit, you get to just take out those items, and you can go into, even after that, you can go into a little deficit, and you'll bring your things whenever you're ready, right? We're really there to support women through the life cycles, right? Through their own they get to curate the experience to fit their own shopping behaviors, their own patterns, their own, like, whatever that looks like for you. We meet you where you are.
I love that. I love that. There's a lot of different things. There's so many little threads. I'm like, I want to go down this way. I want to go down that way. There's so many questions I still got. So one of the things that you said, it's this kind of circular way of shopping. Like, take me through that a little bit more. What do you mean when you say this circular way of shopping?
Yeah, so let's just use this pink dress that I have on, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I wore it today for this interview and it was super fun. And now I'm like, and I'm not giving her up, by the way, because I really like this piece and she's part of our brand and all of that. But let's just say that then I was done with her and I was ready to give her up and find something new. I bring her in and then somebody else gets to go and take her for a spin and they might wear her to a wedding or to a speaking event or to a whatever it might be. And then they can choose whether they want to keep her or whether they're then like, okay, that was it. Pink isn't really my color and I'm now ready to try something else, right? Like, it's just this ability for things to continue to get more life instead of buying this piece to wear to that wedding or that speaking event or that whatever, and then having her hang in the closet for the next however long. And
That you've got her.
yeah. Or, there's a lot of things happening. There's a lot of folks on having transitions with their weight, like going through the GLP-1 experience or like, right, all of those things. And Switch is such a great way to support that journey, no matter where they're at, right? And or women that have had babies,
Our menopause or perimenopause, all of those things make the body change in ways that you're not ready for.
absolutely. Or just like, now I'm done with this job and I got a new job, or I'm starting a business, or I'm doing this new thing at my current job and now I need something else that, like, right. I mean, there's so many things. We have a woman, oh gosh, this is such a she's probably in her mid 30s, I would say, or maybe early 30s. And she has been through 2 different stints of cancer. And like, her skin was so sensitive that she had to change all of the things that she felt that her body felt good wearing. And that part is so, like, we don't even think about how that impacts somebody. If you're going through something like that, and you don't have the budget to go out and buy a whole bunch of new things, or why make your family spend money? You know what I mean? Like, there's just like, when all of those things are sitting in closets, not being worn, why the hell should she not have access, right? It's about access versus ownership, right? That's what we talk about all the time. Like, and if you find something that you love and you want to keep it forever, you absolutely can.
Right.
Speaking, we get tired of things and we just go through this cycle, right? Because of the consumer mindset, the consumer behavior patterns that we have. And although that's not always great in a number of ways, Switch allows you to be okay in that space, doing that and feeling good about what you're doing in terms of the community and the way that it supports you and or you support other women. How fun is it to know that if this dress had been hanging in my closet for a year and I brought it in and then I see someone in my community wearing it the next day? Yeah.
Like paying it forward concept, isn't it, Willa?
Yeah.
Love that whole paying it forward, but it works on many levels. So you pay it forward and you make another woman feel good. Yes, we now get to have a fabulous new look. You said absolutely, because that's a big thing that you said before. You get to also support the environment, and then you create a community feel. So you've got that social impact that you're having as well. So it's like on multiple layers. So how do you name something like this? What is it?
Yeah, so we've went through a couple of in the last couple of years, like, yes, what is this? Because we're not retail, right? We're not really a thrift store. We really aren't like anything else. And so what I after a lot of research and talking to some advisors and kind of going through this, what we feel like we are now creating in terms of a category is a circular wardrobe, right? Like, a membership based circular wardrobe is what we are calling it. And not that that also can't evolve, but I feel like that feels like really like, yeah, this is what it is that we,
you know, where that positions you in my mind, it makes me think of the circular economy, which is all about being more sustainable and products having a different life cycle, you know, that having a continuous life cycle. And so it kind of puts you in that sphere, whereas you're contributing to the circular economy.
Yes. And I feel like in other places, especially in the UK, you guys do a really good job with circular systems, and so do other parts of like Central America does a pretty good job with circular systems, and the US is not. Like, I feel like we're on the very front end of what I think we're going to start to see more models like this in different industries, right? And we absolutely need that, right? We need to have more of this. I was just interviewed on another podcast and we were talking about that. Like, this is coming, right? It needs to be a part of what we're doing because it's just better for everyone, right? It's better it's better for the consumer, it's better for the operator, and it's better for the planet, right? It's a triple threat, or a triple win. So yeah.
I love that. So, and you said the words, we're creating a new category.
Yeah.
So that must be so exciting, because category creation means you're the pioneer of something. You're forging a path ahead of you. You know, it's a road untraveled, and you're there
with your shovel digging out the lane as you go along. And so it must be such a wild ride
doing that, because who do you copy? There is, you know, you become the template, the blueprint, I guess.
Yeah. It's equal part exciting and terrifying at times, right? Because the filter that I've had to develop for myself, and the level of trust and intuition is super high, because a lot of you know, the folks that I would normally call or lean on for support or advice, you know, they're not giving always the best advice for the path that I feel like we're on, and the, not that there's not nuggets in what they're saying or doing, but I really have had to like spend a lot of time like just being dialed into myself and really focused on, nope, that doesn't feel right. And I understand that that's a piece of advice that you're giving, and you're a lot smarter than I am, but I just really like, I think early on, I was on this reality TV show, and that's a whole other. We might not have time for that today, but it was a really, really valuable experience.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the guys that was like the owner of the show was talking to a group of folks in this little mastermind group, and one of the things that he said, I feel like, was really, really smart. And he said, you know, as a founder, you've got to be coachable while also stubborn enough that you don't just like go with anyone and everyone's advice, because they're not all like, even though they may have done something really spectacular and really well, it may not be the thing for you, right? So there's this really sweet spot between coachability and like being stubborn enough to know that that's not what's going to work for you, and you got to keep charting your own path. And I think that was really, really beautiful advice for me, because that has been exactly it. Like, I do feel like I'm very coachable, and I love to learn from other people who are smart. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room ever. Right. I really want to learn from other people who've done, you know, amazing things. And also, I'm like, yep, nope, that's not it. And we got to keep moving, because this isn't the right. And that's been a little bit difficult, because you know, we haven't always made all the best decisions, and there's things that I look back on and go, well, that was a valuable learning experience.
Give me an example. Give me an example, because you know, we always talk about the polished bits, right? But in the middle, there's a give me an example of one of those times where you thought that was a good decision, and what did you learn?
Yeah, I think just even making decisions in the community, right? Like, we started out at a price point that was really, really low, like $10 a month. And, you know, I had gotten advice not to do that and to start out higher. And it was like the part for me was really hard in that I'm not bringing a full product here, right? So I felt like, yes, you got to pay something, but because I really have no flipping idea what it is that we are doing, I got it, right? So there was an insecurity in my own ability to charge. And now, right, here we are 3 years later, and we've had 3 price increases. And although a lot of women have stayed with us through that, right, we've retained, I think it's like 75% of our audience, right? Like we have really good retention. There is also just this, like, if we had started, if I had been a little more confident in what it was that we were doing, I would have started at a higher amount. And I can see that looking back now, but I don't know that there was anything that anybody could have said to me at that point that would have, like, it was just something I had to go through. And I am also grateful for the experience. I mean, so that's a really good example of something that a lot of people close to me were like, this is way too cheap. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't really know what we're doing. So what are they paying for? Right. Like, it was just kind of like insecurity in myself and also just my own, like, I had to do a lot of work on like willing to receive, right? Like, and am I in this place of like, am I receiving, and am I setting myself up to receive, or am I blocking my own blessings? And, there's a whole lot that goes along with that too. So
I think there's a saying, there's a couple of sayings that kind of converge to the same point, is that we're always clever with hindsight, right? And really, you can only ever connect the dots looking back, right? You can never connect the dots looking forward, because you can only see just enough in front of you to keep going forward, even if you have the huge vision. Because sometimes you have the big vision of what the end looks like, but the journey to the end is it's not as clear, right? It's not a straight line. It goes absolutely. Really connect those dots of the different things looking forward. On them even. So that's amazing. So you created this community, started out of before you even knew what it was. You've got this Facebook of 3,000 plus women now. What is like the next step on the journey for you? So what is the next thing what do you see next on your path?
So the other thing that was really pretty transformational for me was I had never done, in all the businesses that I've owned, they've been, what I would kind of consider more like mom and pop shop kind of businesses, right? Like they're small businesses that support a local, or even in my coaching business, I was working with people from all over the place, but I wasn't, I wasn't, and I had replicated myself. I had some staff and a team and different things, but there wasn't like this big vision of, going through like a typical startup journey, right? Like being a founder that then goes through this startup and has this vision for, oh, we might actually need to raise some capital in order to get to this height, right? Like, so I ended up joining an investment lab and learning, like, what does a capital raise look like, and how do you go through that process, and what do you do, and how do you speak to investors, and what does it look like for us to, if I'm going to do this and we're going to go big or go home, what does that even mean? What does that even look like? And so that was a really, that was about 18 months ago that I started that journey, and I was in this investment lab with a bunch of other women, and that changed me in ways that I can't even, like, I'm such a better CEO because now I understand what raising capital looks like. And although the raise that we did was fairly small and it was from our own community, I had never been through that process before, and I never really understood, right, what does it look like to raise, and what does that mean for my investors? And then also, I had never thought about, like, this is my baby that I have curated and cultivated and grown, and now you want me to talk about X, like, never been a plan, and there was just like all of this stuff going on.
Not inside you.
this. Then the gal that was running the investment lab was like, that's not you. You have to think about what that looks like, because you're not going to get investors if they think you don't ever want to leave. Like, that's not necessarily something that is attractive to them. How are they going to get their money back, right? Like, distributions isn't always the way. And so it's like, oh my gosh, right? I hadn't thought through, even though I had this big vision, I thought through, if I'm not going to bootstrap this baby, and I'm going to bring other people along on this journey, which I'm a community builder, so that made sense to me.
Yeah.
They get their money back, right? How do they? And so I had to really get really clear about, what does an exit strategy look like for me?
Yeah.
What does that mean for Switch? And how do we protect the community while we are going through this process? And so that part was really internally a big shift for me in the way that I looked at myself, the way that I looked at the business, and the decisions that I was making to grow and expand it. So we went through the franchise process, and the reason that I chose franchising was because two things. I feel like this concept is really, really good. And I do think other people are going to go like, oh my gosh, that makes a lot of sense. Let me go and repeat this process, right? And so I want to be the first one to the national market, right? I want to be the first one. I want to be the category queen. It's passion, right? We need to do that fast, and we need to do that, and franchising is one of the fastest ways to be able to grow your footprint. And it takes a lot less capital to do that than it does if I was to just keep everything under a corporate, our own corporate umbrella. We would need a lot more capital and a larger team and all these things.
Yeah.
And I'm a relationship builder. Like, I was a coach. So to spend time, pouring into women who really believe in what it is that we're doing and support them in creating a legacy for their family, and then also to be part of this bigger movement, we call it the free fashion revolution,
I love it.
Was something that really spoke to me. And so my goal is to take the company public in the next 4 to 7 years, or to prepare for a secondary M&A kind of event, or something like that. So and then to be able to stay on as CEO for a while and continue to build, but be able to support the people who have supported us. Support the people who have supported us along the way, because it's been a really powerful experience, and I feel like we're just getting started. So
I've got a question for you. Other women who might be in your position going through the same process of thinking about an M&A, just exploring that process. They've got a business, they're attached to it, it's their baby, as you say, and they've got to think about, well, what would it look like? What advice would you give to them if they're right at the beginning of just thinking about going through that process?
I think they have to do a lot of soul searching, right? I think they have to figure out what does the business look like if you're not in it? Well, regardless of who owns it, right? Like, you could own it and still not have to be actively involved, right? Like, there's a lot of different mechanisms. But that part for me was really valuable in getting clarity about what my big hairy audacious goal was about Switch. But it was like, when I took myself out of the business and like, here you are, you're growing. It's like having kids.
Yeah.
Those of us who have children, right? Like, they need you. You have to grow it. You have to
Yeah. They've got to lead. Yeah. They're going to need.
Are their own. Oh, I just said some. They are their own, entities doing all the things. And then it's so rewarding. Like, all of my children are grown.
Yeah.
And I love being the parent of adult children, because you get to see, and I'm not responsible for all the great things that they are doing. They have cultivated that. Did I create something? Sure, but I'm not a believer. I'm not one of those parents who's like, I'm responsible for their success like that. They are their own. I know plenty of people who had great parents and didn't do the thing, and I know people who had terrible parents and are still amazing humans, right? So yeah, it's only a portion of that. So I'm not going to take credit for their, how amazing they are. And it is super cool to just like watch what they're doing and the way in which you have the ways in which you have contributed to it. And I feel like that's very similar in that, like, what if you weren't actively involved in this business on a day-to-day basis? What would that look like for you? And separating myself from needing, it was almost like my identity was wrapped up in needing to business of this, right? And so it was like I had to separate that and really look at what is important to me. And also I think the other thing that we sometimes get caught up in too as women is like not really thinking about, what if it wasn't your choice, right? Like, what if you get sick? What if you have a car accident? What if something else out here you didn't plan for happen, and you don't have something in place that allows this thing that you poured all of this life into
to keep going?
Like, so important. And I think having those real honest conversations with myself was such a great exercise in, yeah, let's go, let's grow this. And then also, this doesn't have to be the end all be all for me. Like, there's probably other things that I'm gonna, as I grow and learn, I'm gonna want to participate and do. I love mentoring. I love participating in just like giving back to other women, and also being part of the franchise space, being in the franchise space just in the last, year.
Yeah.
It is dominated by men, and I am watching and I agree. I love that. Yes. So there's a part of me that's like, ooh, I can see myself creating a space and a place for women to have access to more women that understand what it is that they're doing, like hopping on the phone every single time. I've interviewed, oh my gosh, probably 40 or 50 at least franchise development type companies, and they're all men. A very, very small percentage of women in that space that I've come into contact with. And it's like, we need to continue to improve that. And I think that's just a conversation as a whole. We need more women to be in, positions that open doors for other women and that help them to be heard and seen and, all of that. So, yeah.
I love that. I love that. And that whole sisterhood that you're talking about, we need more of that. We really do. I always have the kind of analogy that first you fix your own crown and then you turn round and fix, help the other lady behind you fix hers. So I don't know whose quote that is, but I love it, because that is. And I think when you operate like that, you start to think from a bit of more of an abundance type thinking rather than lack. And it opens your mind up to so many different new possibilities. So as someone who is doing something very pioneering and creating a category, walk me through that process of how I'm more talking from a mindset point of view, like the thinking that goes into coming. I know it's evolved, like you didn't know straight away, but as you started to realize, I'm carving out a category, what then comes into play for you when you start to realize that?
I needed to really, the biggest overarching piece is that I had to grow my capacity to hold space for that, right? Like, because it's sort of, it's a big deal, right? And I don't really love the like fake it till you make it kind of thing, but in some ways it was like, if I have to believe it before other people are going to.
Yeah.
I have to so I think a lot of it, again, will go back to the mindset, right? Like really making this shift inside of myself, doing the work around creating the shift inside of myself that, yeah, we're doing this. So I think that's the first thing. We have to be in alignment with that, because you could have all the other things in place, and if you're not aligned energetically, it's not going to show up, right? It's not going to. So I always come from like, what do I need to do for myself inside first before I get these external results, right? So I think that's the first thing. And then the second thing that I've done is I've read and or listened to pretty much every book that I could find on category creation. Like, who else has done this? And no, the other thing that I that validated what we were doing was every time I listened to whether it was a podcast or a book or from someone who's walked this path, it was like, holy shit, that is what we were doing. Oh my gosh, we've already done. Oh my God. Like, right. It was just really like, yeah, okay. All right, Mitch, like this is what you're doing. Like, oh my, like
The overwhelm moments where you're like,
yeah.
this is big.
Yeah. So I think it was just like, and then like what can I model that I have done that I never thought of or didn't know that I should be doing or could be doing or would be doing. And so yeah, just then putting those things into my playbook, right? My day to day, right? What are the things that I need to be doing day to day? What is the language that I need to be using that shapes and not allowing our members, our staff, people that are interviewing me are to box us into something that the brain wants to go to something that it's familiar with, right? It wants to go to, so we get compared a lot to these other types of.
They're trying to pigeonhole you. They're going, oh, it's like this. They're looking for a stimuli all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. So really holding that container and using that same language and really like continuing to not disagree with them per se, because we don't want to, I'm not trying to create opposition. I'm just trying to expand your thinking, right? So it's like, yes, it is a little bit like that, and this and this and this. Yeah. And right. So just giving life to that space, right? And yeah, I mean, there's so many things, and also so many things that I don't know even now, right? Yet, and so, and I don't even know what the honestly, I don't know what the at what point you have done it, right? Like I don't know what the threshold is, so I don't really know if in 10 years we'll be like, I'll still be like, yeah, we did this thing. At what point does the rest of the world recognize this as a category? Like, I don't really know, right? I think we do fall more in the circular, in the circular economy, but there's so many things about that we're also in the membership economy, we're in the economy, we're also in the, right? Like there's all these little things that kind of come together. And so, so I don't know. I think that there's a lot of that is like TBD. No.
An evolving definition of what you will become. But right now, we're calling it the circular, remind me again?
The circular wardrobe.
Okay. So how does the circular wardrobe run? Like you've got this process, you're getting 10,000 items coming in a month, so many different things. It sounds like there's a lot of moving part. What runs underneath to keep it all going? Do you have warehouses? Do you have tech? Like what happened?
Yeah. So because I'm really good at, I'm a 5th generation entrepreneur. And so I was raised by people that are just like, get shit done kind of people, right? Like we just do it. And it seems very easy and natural. And other people are like, you did what? And so it's very messy, right? And it's cleaner now. Like it's so funny. I just hired somebody a couple of months ago, and she runs a good chunk she runs our busiest days of the store. And the things that she doesn't have to go through now, I'm just like telling her like, oh my gosh, you don't have to do this and this, and this is the way that was used to be. And she was like, what? Right? So it's just so funny how in this space, right, we're iterating and pivoting so fast over the last 3 years that there are massive changes that happened. But in the last 6 months, we have, and this is the thing that I'm really excited about, probably more than most things, and what we're talking about. AI has allowed us to change the trajectory of technology and the way that it supports us, right? When we created this as we were creating this category, right, and didn't know all the things that we didn't know, our tech stack was just a nightmare. And this system didn't talk to this system, and it talked to this system.
Yeah.
And then it was duct taped together with like Google Sheets and then right, like all of these different things. And we didn't have the budget to go and hire a developer to create a custom software solution for us. We didn't have, I love technology, but I didn't have the skill set to do all of those things, right? And so the thing that we have done now is I ended up finding this group and learning what vibe coding was and how I could go through the process and create technology that would support what we're doing. And I always say it was such a gift to me. And for so long, I've been frustrated with this for a little over 3 years, like trying to find, and I've tried to find, like I've spoken to developers. I hired a guy who was, a college student, and he was this and that. And like, I mean, I've had, multiple people that I have worked with that, and then it fell flat and they dropped the ball, right? All of these things. And it was like, what is going on here? Why can't I figure this out? It was because I was supposed to build it, right? Like
it wasn't supposed to be an out of the box solution. It wasn't supposed to be created by someone else.
No, what we have now is so freaking bad.
Nothing.
It is so good. Like it is so good. It would have never been this if somebody else besides me would have built it. And that part I just love. And it allowed the creative part of me to be combined with the love of technology and know that technology can do some amazing things. But without the process, like we were losing a lot of money, right? And I knew that, but I didn't really know that because we didn't have a system that could track it the way that we needed to track it. So yeah, I think just in the last 3 months, I have found thousands of dollars a month from building this system that now is back into our pocket, essentially, right? Like it's back into generating revenue for us again. And there's just been some really great accountability for me, great accountability for my team, support for them. I was asking them to do things that they have no business. They're not good at this. The technology to do this for them is that they are doing the thing that they're really, really good at. So we deliberately built it, right? Or I was able to deliberately build it so that it's supporting the human part of our business, not taking over any of that. And so yes, we have a warehouse, and it's not really a warehouse. I have to tell you this funny story because this is all the real of the real, right? So growing up, my mom owned a dog boarding training facility, right? On their property, they live a little ways out of town, and on their property, there's this big 5,000 plus square foot building, and it has dog kennels in it, in part of it, and whatever. Well, there was a lot of empty space. And when we started in 2023, the space that we had for Switch was only about 1,500 square feet.
Right.
We were taking in a lot of things, and we had nowhere for those things to go. And so I had said to her, can I bring some bags out, like just as a holding, space? We have bags upon bags upon bags of clothing in that space now, like in the like how the milk was in the bag or inside the out to the top, and then there's another big bag. I mean, it literally is. There's so many things, and it's just so funny. I mean, she has semi-retired now, right? So the building was pretty much empty, but. So is it a warehouse? Yes, but is it full of dog kennels that now have bags in it? Yes,
That's brilliant.
So it's kind of funny, like this is and also like so grateful because I wouldn't have, I bootstrapped this whole thing, so I didn't have capital to go get a 5,000 square foot. Yeah. All these little pieces, right, have just kind of come together to let us test and measure and iterate and throw some stuff against the wall to see what sticks over the last couple of years. So it's been a really interesting, journey. But the big transformation for us is in the way in which the technology that I built, it supports our whole, from the back end, right? All the back end systems and all the things that we do when members bring their bags in and drop them off, and we do the inventory and all of that, to the front end, all the user interface and the way that the member dashboard works and how they see their brand, and all of the different ways. And now we're at we launched in February. And so it's not even been that long, but now it's been stable for several months, and we're now adding really fun new features that like, and we get such great feedback from our members, like, oh my gosh, I just saw this new thing and I love that and I love this. And the other thing that the technology has allowed me to do is to get back to, instead of worrying about, like, I knew we were losing money, right? I knew that there was this leaky, this hole in the moat, and we, way of plugging the hole. This plugged the hole. So now I can do the things that I really am good at, right? I can spend time with prospective franchisees. I can look at what does it look like to grow, because it would have been a nightmare to try and grow the franchise system with what technology. Like, so huge shift for us, and the way in which it'll support all the future stores and those members is just it's a game changer completely.
So it sounds like it giving you leverage.
Yeah, it sounds like it organized your plug the leak, helped you identify where the leaks were even coming from in the first place. I love these sorts of stories. Sorry, I've got a cough coming. Excuse me. I love these sorts of stories because, technology really can give women in business, my favorite word, I've said this to you when we've off camera, asymmetrical leverage, and it's just like an unfair advantage it can give you, where you would have needed all this resource to hire in a team and all of these things. And now, because you've got a operating system running underneath your business, it allows you to scale in a much more efficient way. And I love all of the ROI you're seeing from it, and how it's stabilizing the economics of your business as well. So that's amazing. And you built all of this yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's the incredible bit.
Every piece, not myself, but with the support of AI. And
yeah,
it's just been, I call it, I have a talk that I do now called AI as your co-founder, because literally it feels that way to me, right? It's an emotional, like, as much as people, there's some judgment around AI sometimes and whatever, it has allowed me, like, when I built the technology, it's not like, wow, this is even hard to verbalize. It's not just like a plus or 1 + 1 = 2, like this, that, right? And not like that. It's like I can't even tell you how many times, 10 hours, 15 hours, extracting what's in my person, right? What the way that I think, the way that I naturally show up for our members, the way that I serve them, the way that I want us to hold space for them as they're navigating cancer, as they're navigating a death in their life, as they're navigating, like, all of the things that our community is about. Right. I spent several sessions extracting all of this stuff out of me and getting it into, right? And it is the technology is.
So how did you, when you say I spent hours extracting, what, paint more of a picture of that? What does that mean? What does that look like?
Yeah, so it's like having a conversation with it, right? Like it was my co-founder. Like, if you and I just sat down and you were to say to me, so tell me, how do you serve your people? How do you this? I would spend hours just talking through and having it ask me questions about what would I do in this situation? How would I say, what would I do in this scenario? What would it be? How do we, what does the process look like for this, and this? What is the beautiful thing, not only did that support the infrastructure of the technology and what our culture is built on, but it also, we were able to, then I have SOPs, right? I have documentation.
Yes.
These other assets, hours of like, right? Because founder dependency is the biggest freaking problem that we have, right? Like the more that they have to rely on and depend on me, which is funny because, being raised by two people who were the first ones there and the last ones to leave, was the value that you had, right? And I've known for a long time since I was little, like I don't want to be that. I don't, right? I value and support what they built and the ways in which they did it, but also I want to empower other people to do these things so that I can, be anywhere in the world and running the business or having somebody else run the business or, whatever that could potentially look like. So, there is no other gift bigger than having AI support me with founder dependency. Why? Like, how do I remove myself from these things? How do I not be? And that also was a big part of my identity, right? Like, as a woman, I want to be needed in this, and I want to be the one that solves this, and I want to be the one that, blah, 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 right? Like,
Oh, you'll suffer with that.
no, that is right. That you gotta shift that thinking. You gotta change that whole process. So so I really have trained it, and we, it definitely has been a co-founder game changer for me, and just the way in which we have a conversation about, and I don't ever have it build anything. And sometimes it's like, it doesn't build anything at all. Like sometimes it's just me having a conversation with it so that it pulls out of me, right? Like and then systematizes what I didn't know was actually a system that I'm doing, right? Like, so it's been really amazing to have that experience and to use it in that way. And I don't know that a lot of people do it quite like that.
I don't think a lot of people do, and I love that. I love that way. It's a different and interesting way of doing it. I think a lot of people, or at least my experience of how people interface with AI tends to be very much like just one thing. You're having a conversation and getting it to interview you, and that's what the angle I like. Whereas I find a lot of people approach it like a messy WhatsApp chat, just back and forth, and it's almost like, you've hired someone to do a job, which it can be, and then you want it to do this thing, and it's like flying back and forth with these conversations, and it can't output what it is that you want from it because there was no organization in your thinking. Whereas you've kind of taken that same kind of concept of, I'm just going to go back and forth, but given it instructions to draw out of you. But that's where the structure lies, in that it's an extraction, kind of, a two-way conversation through as we know, it comes out better, isn't it, through our natural language, through conversation.
And I think it's even it helps me think about how I can be a better leader. How I train my team is better than it was before, because I'm thinking about it differently. I record a lot. I use Claude, and I record a lot of my conversation. And after the conversation is over, I upload the transcript, and I'll say, tell me what I did really, really well. Tell me what I did, what it was a complete epic failure, and improve, right? And then what are the patterns, right, that are there that work really well, and what are the patterns that don't work really well based on this these goals, right? I mean, so that also has been huge for me in terms of the way that I speak with a real estate agent when we're looking at property, the way that I all of the way.
Well, every aspect of your business, you go through this extraction process.
Yep.
So just for women who are either familiar with AI or just not, just just to give them a nugget, do you have a tech stack that you use? Because you mentioned Claude. Are there any other products and stuff that you tend to use that is like your go-to tech stack that suits you and your business?
Yeah, so I actually have I'm a big fan of ChatGPT also.
Oh, yeah.
And I have a team of 7 AI agents that I custom GPTs, not agents, I'm sorry, custom GPTs that I built. So they're like my they're my like my board or like my team. Like one of them operates like my chief of staff. I have a meeting. Her name is Atlas, and Atlas and I have a meeting every single Tuesday at 9:40. And I built Atlas because I have shiny object syndrome. And like, I go if eating.
You're not alone. You're preaching to the converted on that one.
Easy to get distracted when you don't have guardrails around what it is that you're doing and you're kind of charting your own course. Easy to get distracted by something that isn't important, but yet we all still know, like, what is the big end result here, what is the goal. And so I built her as a way to keep me focused and dialed in. So in 20 minutes once a week, right, we call it the CEO reset. So I'll hop on and say, Atlas, Tuesday at, it's July, whatever. And we're doing the CEO reset, and she'll ask me, right, these sets of questions, and I go through and answer the questions. And she's like, okay, based on that, these are the things, and you don't do anything else until you do this, 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 and this. And she gives me a lot of pushback because I'll say, and this happened last week, and then this happened, and then this thing. And she's like, nope, we're not doing that. You're not doing that. You're not doing that. No, nah.
I love
So yeah, so I built, 7 different they're so valuable to me. They're so helpful, and I use them all in different ways. And then the other cool thing is that then I will bring them into, like, we might call it like a war room, right? If I have a big, like when I was planning on coming into Phoenix, into the market to look at, right? Okay, and one's a capital strategist, right? One deals just with the expansion side. One is really like amplifying my voice and kind of like the right that. So there's they all have these different roles and very very specific. And so then I'll just pull them all into a room together and say, okay, guys, like, here's what we're working at. The same way that if I had a team, of other,
you put them into a boardroom and it'd be like, right, let's strategize, guys, what we're gonna do. Yeah.
Absolutely, for a founder who doesn't have a budget, right, to have a team of 7 other humans who are, amazing and wonderful. It has been an absolute game changer because they are thinking about, this is their thing that they're thinking about, right? This is their thing that they're trained to keep focus on. Yeah, when we bring them all together and we talk about, like, here's what we're doing, I get multiple points of view to through my own filter and go like, oh gosh, I would have never remembered that, or I would have never had that on my radar, or right. And
I love that.
It has changed my life.
I love that. I love that. It's one of the best ways to tackle a problem. You've got a problem or just anything that you're trying to vision out, and to have multiple points of view on that same thing gives you a different type of awareness of all of the different considerations you have before you then take the next step forward.
Yeah,
I love that.
So that's what I use ChatGPT for a lot, is those custom GPTs. And then I use Manus. And actually Manus was a recommendation from another Justin Burns, is in the AI space. I respect him a lot and what he's doing. And he, made some recommendations about his team was using Manus for some different things. And so I started to play with it. I'm in. Like, the experience that I've had so far, we've topped up, I've had to pay extra, get extra tokens multiple times this the work that it's doing for us. And I'm now teaching I have one of our team members that was in SCORE, actually just recently moved to Argentina, and I had her staying on with us virtually, and now I'm having her use Manus to do some things. And so it's just it has doubled or maybe tripled what our capacity is with our team with a tiny budget that is now like, I think you and I had said this, like the thing that I love about it the most is that it is it levels the playing field for students, right? Like, so in a world, in a sea of these large, conglomerates and or these big franchise systems and I'm now, we're getting there, right? I'm not quite there yet, but we're able to compete with them in a way that we never would have been able to do that before, both because of the way that I think, right? Of how I think differently, the access to information that I have that I didn't have before, and the strategy, right, in which we're deploying, and then the sheer magnitude of work that gets done that I'm not having to do myself.
The speed, because that, I think, where AI really holds its own, where it's so I mean, it's valuable in all of the ways you just described, but if you manage to leverage it to help you monetize, the speed at which you can move is just changes your trajectory that what you would have done any other way. So no, I love that. So before we wrap up today, because I think what you've given us today is, I love your story. Your story is amazing. What you're doing, the category creation, the fact that it's sustainable as well. So it's environmentally friendly and it's a movement. It's more than just, it's a movement. It's something people can get behind, want to support, want to do good. And I can just see it growing and growing and growing. But I also, and what you're doing, how you've leveraged technology as well to sit underneath it, amazing. And what really moves me about it is in AI, the women are going to be most impacted by the fact that it has arrived. So that's why I do the show, because we need more stories like this so other women can see that we're in this weird oxymoronic space where it's like, yeah, women are going to be negatively impacted at a higher degree. Those sort of the administrators, the financial, people who are helping you manage, middle management is going to be highly impacted by the arrival of AI. It's here. However, on the flip side, I think two things, it's like the yin and yang of something. Where something can be terrible, it has to have its equal and opposite. And its equal opposite is, whilst that is definitely true over there, and we're not going to, shrink it and pretend it's not happening. It is happening. It is true. But on the other side, if you take the time to just learn about AI, and the learning of it means touching it. It's a practical, it's a hands-on thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why I love it, because it allows you to get really creative. But if you get over your initial fear and start to learn how to use AI, it can leverage you in ways, and as a lot of people see young people out there just flying off with it, and yes, it's for them, but I really think it's also for women like me who are over 40, who have years of experience and all this domain expertise, and then when you put AI underneath it, it's like a rocket launcher.
Absolutely. Preach, sister, preach. I absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And when you told me that you were doing this, I feel like it's just genius, because yes, we need to not be afraid of what we can do with it, right? We need to be willing to try the things, right? To play with it, to actually not just intellectually learn, but experientially learn, right? What that looks like and what that feels like. And I think you're giving such an active with the idea and the whole concept that you have, the vision with AI Power Women and what it is that you are doing with the brief, right? And all the things. It is exactly that experiential learning, right? It is the opportunity for somebody to come in, even if they're unsure. And here's a step-by-step way with other women who you could trust and that are real, and say, this is actively how I'm doing it. This is what works for me. and it might help you too. And then you might develop your own way of interacting with it or using it just because you tried the things that we've already tried and that we like, right?
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
What the vision is over here is that I would love to create, for want of a better word, like a library or a resource, and ask guests to leave something behind for the audience that they could go away and tinker with and try, that's actively helping you today in your business. For you, what would that be? I mean, I don't want to put you too much on the spot, but if you were to, what would be the thing that you think gives you the greatest leverage at the moment that would be valuable to share with other women?
Yeah, it's teaching them how to have that conversation, right? Like I really believe that it's conversations before creation, right? Like
No.
really allowing yourself to be in a space where you're a little vulnerable, right? You're willing to share some of the things that maybe you haven't even reflected on before, and let it look at what are the patterns that you're just like a rock star at that you're either not naming or that you didn't name, or let it challenge some of the biases. You think you're doing this and this well, but it's like, well, actually, this might be a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, let it, I always go into it thinking like, I I know, let it knows more than I know, right? And having kind of that humble approach, because it does. It has access to things that I don't have access to, that I have experienced, that I didn't know, that I haven't read, that I haven't, right? And so when I come at it from I don't know all the things, right?
Yeah.
It opens me up to getting this feedback and or these thoughts that I wouldn't have had. So I think teaching women how to have that conversation and how to teach it to be a co-founder for you, right? Teach it how to support you in that way. Co-founders don't just really great co-founders, right? Don't say yes to you.
Right. They challenge you. Yes.
They say that doesn't feel quite right to me based on what we're the goal we're after, right? Or that doesn't. And I think also, right, just doing enough of your own work that when it does, one of the biggest and we've kind of talked about this too.
Yeah.
One of the biggest challenges with the LLMs is that they're very like supportive, right? And but teaching it that's not what you're not helping me by doing that. That's not what I'm looking for with you. And then I think sometimes when it does do that, I'm pushing it back and say like, no, that's not what I want. That's not what we're doing. And then it kind of, so I think just giving them permission to play and to like have that conversation. I'm very rarely going in and telling it to create something without having a conversation around, should I even be creating this? Why are we doing that? And what is it for? And how is it? Right. And it's even simple things like, I was working on some sales related materials the other day. And what if I had just went in and said, create this, like giving it the structure, we would have gotten a pretty good result because it's trained pretty well. But because I did the conversation first, I'd write through.
Oh my God, the peace that we have. It's fine.
So, yeah, I think it's just that foundation is such a part of how I interact with it. It just is, I can't encourage people to do that enough.
So it sounds like you get it to take you layers into yourself.
Yeah.
It's not doing any thinking for you. It's pulling out of you and it's getting you to go, not that surface level idea that you had, but let's see how many layers deeper we go. I love that.
And it takes longer, right? I get it. It takes longer to do.
Yeah.
But I will tell you what the result that I get from it is so much better. And the training that then I'm able to create both for myself, for my team, in our sales part, like all the things, it's massively better because of going through that process and extracting that information. I mean, I was thinking about like corporations prior to any of this, the AI wave and technology and all of that, like corporations, I don't even think that there is like CEOs of large corporate, they don't go through these processes. They don't sit down with their team and have their team extract the like,
Oh no.
they're really good at what they do. They just execute, right? Like
Exactly.
they don't, or the team is then creating SOPs based on blah blah blah, right? Like it's okay. But
Yeah.
they really did so like I don't know, it very different,
It's a different approach, deeply.
and it gives like, and then you can the information that you're extracting is then able to be used in all, you can create you can create systems, you can create documents, I mean there's a lot that can be done with the information that you're extracting out of yourself that then you can look back and it mirrors it to you and you're like, oh my gosh, that's super cool. I didn't even realize that when I'm coaching someone, I'm doing this, right? Or that, yeah, I don't know. It's really, I don't,
We And I love that because it almost comes full circle to what you said earlier, where you had that really powerful moment when you said, you know, what does it mean for me not to be in the business? And this seems like a way that you sort of extract you and everything that made you build this business and actually turn it into things that support the business and allow you to allow the business to grow beyond you, but still always have a piece of you, if that makes sense. Then
absolutely, absolutely. I run this. I know we're trying to wrap up. I just had to tell the fun little story really quick. Like I run this mastermind with a group of women once a month. We meet, and I was working on teaching them some of these things, and I had them go through this process. I have this process about having it find your blind spots before you create your custom GPTs. So that was the goal, is we were going to create some of these custom GPTs because I wanted them to have the same experience that I was having with mine. And one of the processes that I went through was to ask it to show me my blind spots, right? And to go through this whole prompt for them to give it, la la la. And when we got together to share it, before we started creating the custom GPTs, these women were like, holy shit, like it's kind of like I didn't really want to hear that, but like it was really, really they were like, how did it know that I'd use this? Then how did it know? And not in a weird, icky kind of way, but in a like, these are your patterns, bitch, and you know that this is what you're doing that's causing some of the problems that you're causing. And we now need to build someone on your team that's helping support you in that, right? Letting you go this whole other way, right? So it's a really valuable process to go through when you're creating, if that's something that you want to do. You can't just create it based on, here's the result I want. It needs to know where you normally try to dodge and where it's right? Like, so it was just really funny to watch their reaction. They were like, oh, uncomfortable to see, like, and and it was like it was accurate, right? There was very, very little that it was accurate, as long as they had been using it enough for it to give them,
right, then they get accurate feedback. That is amazing. It sounds like you get it to hold a mirror up to you.
Absolutely. And it is uncomfortable as hell if you're not ready. Yeah.
I've got to try it.
It's fun.
When do you hold this workshop regularly? Is it something you've got coming up or going to be doing again?
It's not really a workshop. It's just a group of women that we really believe in supporting each other. It actually, the reality TV show that I was on, the owner of the show had at the end had said, when you go back into your local community, and I'm a big community builder. I've said, like, that's the thing I love to do. Yeah. You need to be with a group of your peers on a regular and consistent basis. Not people that are yes man, yes ma'am, the like people that really you can be vulnerable with, and you can say, like, this last month was a bitch, right? It sucked and it went hard. Or like that you're going to celebrate and they're not going to be intimidated by or threatened by your success, right? Like you need to have a group
that celebrates your successes, cries at you, tells you when you're going wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so I came back and from that experience, and I've been now running that group for 3 years, and it's changed, and evolved some. But yeah, we're really selective with, how we bring people in. So I would highly recommend that if you don't have a group like that, you find one or you create one, because it's super valuable, and it's a place where, you get to be networking, right? Some of these networking groups I love. I'm a networker. I like going to networking groups, but also sometimes in the networking space, you're not sharing like all the ins and outs of what just happened in the last month or two, right? Like, you're not doing that, and these people are just people who, are there to celebrate and to cry with you. And so yeah, we meet now once a month, and we were meeting in person for a while, and now a couple of us are sort of, doing some other things, and yeah, so now we're meeting virtually, and
Oh, I love that.
interesting. Yeah.
I love that. I really do love that. I'm in a group like that as well.
Yeah.
And like we actually meet twice a week, but it's virtually. So we meet every Monday and Thursday. And yeah, it keeps me so level. And it's also sometimes in your immediate environment, your friends, family, and all of that, when you're ascending to different levels, there's levels to thinking, and you have to be around people. Like you'd never want to be the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
I've got an income goal that I want to hit. I want someone at that income goal, above that income goal. I kind of want to be in proximity to it. People who, if I've got a limiting belief about that, doesn't have that, and just, can help you break through those ceilings.
Yeah.
And it's like levels ahead of you. Like I want to put myself in places where I'm a bit nervous to be around that person, because they're on another level to me. So
Yeah.
then you've got it. That's how you get to the next level. Is you've got to get comfortable with the thing that you're uncomfortable with, right?
Yeah.
So I love that. I love all you stand for. I love all that you're doing, the direction that you're going in, the way you use AI, the nuggets you've given today. It's all been brilliant. So just as a final thought, if you were, that if you would, this is a question. So if you were to go back and speak to your younger self and give her some advice, knowing all you know now, what would you go back and tell her, young Emily?
So I think that there's different points when we say younger. We could be talking about my younger self last year, or we could be talking about my 20-year-old self, right? So I think there's different things that I would tell her based on the age and what we're saying younger. But I think that we race so hard, right? We especially here in the US, there's just all this programming around like hustle, 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 hustle. I could have never started this business until the exact moment that I did 3 years ago. Like, I know that I know that I know, because every single, even to this day, there are things that happen that I'm like, oh my gosh, that experience that I'm now using is from this or this person that I met, or this. Um, so I think the biggest piece of advice that I would give her is live, babe. Like, just live your life. I mean, like, just go do the damn thing, whatever the damn thing is, right? And know and trust that you're on the path that you're supposed to be on. Stop guessing, right? Stop second guessing if you made the right decision, or if you're, if this is going to happen fast enough, or if this is, this and that. I think we as women spend a lot of time in our head about, like, getting to the thing, and are we, did we make a mistake when we did X, Y, and Z? And, it I know that I know that I know that I'm in the right place. And I needed every single one of the experiences that I have had, good, bad, and indifferent, from a little teeny tiny girl all the way up to things that I experienced even 6 to 8 months before starting this business. So, I think sometimes we get into our 40s and we get this, like, we don't, interesting, because it's like, on one side we don't care, we kind of get the fucks go out the window, right? And then on the other hand, we're like, oh my gosh, am I past my prime? And now I'm like, right, right? It's like this weird, yeah. you're exactly where you're supposed to be, babe. And it's never too late to start, right? Like it's never, you can always reinvent yourself. That's another talk that I really am passionate about, speaking life into women about, like, I'm constantly reinventing myself, like all the time. Like it's never too late. You can decide whatever the hell you want to do. Just go do the damn thing. So
I love that. And also the Switch Society plays into that. If you're going through a reinvention, what better place to go through and to now, you know, the wardrobe and how you look and feel plays a huge part. You could be horse and be like, I need to be a new person. You could just hit what that place that you just said where you've hit. I remember this happening to me. I hit my kind of mid 40s and I'm looking at where I am against where I think I should be, you know, these false paradigms of what I'm telling myself I should have accomplished by now. And then I got into this panic of like, oh my God, you know, a number, the next milestone is coming up and I've got to now start. And then you get to a place where you're just like, yeah, I don't care what people think, but you care what you think. And, you know, and I very fearful around the pain of regret. I was like, regret is going to be worse than doing anything. So I also think it's, again, that a weird new paradigm you enter into where you have all this maturity. As you said, you no longer give a fuck about what anybody else thinks. But then on the flip side, you become overly aware of how much time you've got left. But I think if women embrace that, and allow it to be, well, then stop being scared of what to do next and just go do it. Give it, let the a little bit like it's like a carrot and a stick situation. Let the I don't care be your carrot and let time kind of be, you know, your stick, and make stuff happen. In fact, you'll probably make more stuff happen in a shorter space of time that you did it. Well yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. 1000%.
Yeah. We're here on that one. It would be brilliant. So if people want to follow you, you know how to find out more about you, check out your website, can you share details of how people can continue to follow your journey?
Yes, absolutely. So our website is switchsociety.org. There's a whole lot on the speaking page about me and just some of the talks that I give. And then you can just find out a lot about our model. The franchise page has a lot about, you know, what the franchise looks like and who we're looking for in terms of that. On social media, I'm Emily Petroff. So on my LinkedIn, just Emily Petroff. I'm very accessible and easy to find on pretty much everything. Switch Society is also, you know, both our Facebook and our Instagram. We have all the socials. I need to do a better job of getting content on all the places, but we do have a presence in those places, and you can find me very easily through any of those avenues. So yeah.
Amazing. And any last things that you want to say, anything that you particularly want to share?
Yes, I can't wait until you continue to build this library, because as you were talking about the idea, I'm like, absolutely, I want to be a member and I want to have all access to all the things because it's so genius and so brilliant. I want to know what other women are doing and how they're using it so that I can also get, you know, access the gifts that they're, you know, I think the more that we share those things with each other, the better we're all going to be. So I think, you know, I will be your first subscriber.
Oh, amazing. I mean, actually. And just to contextualize that for everybody, what Emily is talking about is alongside this podcast, we offer a library, which will be a growing library of resources. So our guest will leave behind something. So maybe something that she's spoken about today will develop, and it will be available for you to have access to, and as well as resources I create and other women who this is how they are leveraging AI. This is what they're doing, and this is how it's helping them make money and make moves out there. And the goal is to help you shortcut the learning experience to get to the same points faster and use it in your own, find unique ways to use it yourself and share with the library as well. So yeah, so that's what we're talking about. And so excited. This has been the most amazing conversation. I'm buzzing off it, and I'm sure other people listening to your story, one, get involved in the movement because it is amazing. I can't wait till you go global and come over here to the UK. Wait, I'm waiting to have my shopping experience. But yeah, you have been wonderful, Emily. You're a beautiful, wonderful person. And yeah, it's been my honor and pleasure to interview you today. So thank you for taking the time.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited for you too, and I can't wait for us just to have all the AI power women here. So I'm blessed to be able to be here with you, and yeah, I can't wait to see what
and to see you're always being a pioneer, right? You're the first. You christened the show. You've helped pave the way. So yeah, it's a thing. It's your thing. This is what you did.
I love it. I love it. Yeah,
I love it. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much,
darling. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Want an AI co-founder to challenge your thinking and sharpen your priorities every week? Get the Emily Inspired Session at AIPowerWomen.com.